Every video, I make sure I say thank you, God. That means I'm thanking and praising God because this needs to be done. It needs to be. I need to be thankful. I'm here, in the apartment I live in, and hearing the perps screaming from the bottom of their heart, screaming, they're trying to gaslight me in this obvious, desperate way to convince me that what just happened is just happening organically. And you hear a a childlike individual, screaming from the bottom of her lungs. I'm like, oh my gosh, how fake is that? A lot of these perps are just very childish. They are actually children. You can even hear the way they try to gaslight you. But some of them are not, right? There's grown men and women involved in that. And at this point, target video, I made it clear, or anybody's watching this video, that I don't identify with this, and it's clear it's manipulation. And they make it clear that they are manipulating me without trying to do that. The desperation, the way they try to make themselves sound, these fake fanatical ways, these cowardly ways of being fanatic, is obvious. And it's so falsified that they just have this fake reaction that's just so obvious. It's like me being desperately wanting you to accept something that's falsified. And basically depending on it for my own sake. So I heard this child trash screaming, and she said, we are some protectors of children, and we're this and that. This bullshit trash. When in reality, they manipulate you and they want you to identify in this falsified way. Listen, what they just made me think of, I remember I was at a bar not too long ago, maybe last year or maybe the year before. I think it was last year. And there was a psychiatrist with her husband there. And she was so desperate for me to look at her newborn child. It was the first time out since her child was born. The child was probably a few months old, maybe 6 months or younger. And it was a newborn child as a girl. And she wanted me to look at her, this baby, this infant. So bad. And she just pulled out a picture. And the reason why she was doing that is because she wanted me to see the child and they started manipulating my brain. Or as they call it, map the brain. When the truth is to just alter the brain. So she pulled out a picture and I look up. I'm not even looking at the child directly. But I can tell even by looking up that there's a baby, an infant. I see some a blur I can see the blur image of a child because I'm not looking at the child directly. And look like a newborn child from the blur version, but it is a newborn child. So they make me think of this newborn child and start making me imagine some sexual thoughts of this newborn baby who's just maybe 5 months old, if not younger. A newborn infant. Start making me think of this baby in sexual way. A brain newborn child. It's so disgusting. And then you hear this perps yelling, you are. That's abuse. And this and that. Try to make you think that what I'm experiencing is something that I should identify with. And when they say that's abuse, they try to talk about me as a kid doing something to myself when I was a kid. These are the things they try to make me think of in order to make me identify with these current experiences of newborn babies. They do these disgusting experiences and manipulation of thought process and then play themselves or present themselves as the children, as the people protecting children. Some of them are children. And you can hear the desperate voices of these children yelling, it's you. We're not. It's so disgusting. And then you see these people that you see in these pictures. When they try to make you identify with this manipulation, what they do is they send you messages. Oh, hey, where are you? They try to box it. It's trash. I know that you want me to think that I'm not being manipulated. And thank you for what you just did here. On a dating app, somebody just started sending me a message to me. He's like, oh, where are you? He's like, shut the fuck up. You piece of shit, so forcing me to imagine some infant child doing something to me sexually is so disgusting. Then present yourself as they are spotting pedophiles, like you are manipulating the brain these ways, and then present yourself as a protector of children. So disgusting. Tag individual, don't ever identify with these disturbing manipulations. And for these perps participating in this program that alter the brain in these ways and then try to present themselves as, I will never identify with this, you fucking trash for low life working for pedophiles. This program is altering the brain and can make you imagine whatever they want you to imagine. This trash make you have these imaginative, disturbing pedophilia imaginations. Then want you to think that you're not being manipulated. Matter of fact, not only they want you to think you're not being manipulated, they want you to think that they're protecting children. Target individuals, stay strong, see this trash for what they are. You know, because I make a lot of videos.
From another physician in Kansas City, alluding to the same thing.
You do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War. You can call it a eugenics program even. But also walk them to their, they want to see if they can, hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people don't believe that. Well, you can't control me. I have my own free will.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like, this disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
They use these monarch-style torture programs, like it's based on sex and trauma. So they're going to traumatize you, they're going to use your libido to get back at you, and
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
Malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including of sleep.
For all of the years of torture that I've had, and I realized that I started people, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind, when I aggravated them, I used able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
In the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can,
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, okay, so.
Satanic ritual. Okay. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's. So they'll say, we're the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
you're not a woman. What real woman would stop? Notice this with the voice of skull, it's a bunch of females, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing?
Again, being open.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I asked Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
and have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner
of stalking to abuse me and harassment. He talked about it.
Even presidents get prosecuted if they commit crimes. But the reality is, my government has protected my abusers and even caused them to abuse me. And that since I was a child, when I was a child. And just like feeling like those ugly, helpless feelings, like I couldn't protect myself when I was 5, and like feeling like a lot hasn't changed since then, like, and some things have changed, you know, some things have changed, but just like those feelings of helplessness, of like not being able to really help myself. Looking at myself in the camera is helping, but I'm having bad PTSD. Just that mostly means that, well, I guess it's not regular PTSD because the back of my neck is being vibrated on and it's making my hands and feet numb and my whole body shake. And I revert to like some mentality of like a 4 or 5-year-old. I don't think it's PTSD, but I don't know what else to call it exactly. I just feel vibrations on my head and my voice, and my thoughts aren't like a person my age when this happens to me. But I just feel afraid. And I don't know what to do, and I wish this would stop happening to me, and I wish that I was allowed to have help and be okay, and I don't think anyone's really allowed to help me, or they get into trouble. And that was true when I was little too. I'm just not coping very good. I don't feel like everything is alright. I shouldn't have to go through the same things as I did when I was little. I sent the Department of Justice a cease and desist and told them that they're acting in coercion with the entities and people that child sex trafficked me. And then I wondered if I wanted to, if it was safe, or if I was having bad psychology to send it. Like, because it made me feel like I was putting myself in more danger. But I just felt like I had to send it, and maybe I think there's someone good on the other side of the letter that would say, oh, this is bad, or I don't know. I'm afraid maybe that's not true, and it's just gonna get me killed. I think it means it and believe that it's good.
Go to sleep. The private parts of my body began being burned again, and it felt like someone pushing out something inside of my body. So yeah, that's what I am up against today. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. And your mouth feels just like my teeth are like pressed forward, and I don't know. It's a lot of strange things. I've been doing some research, I guess what it's called, organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But already on the harming of the private parts of my body. Don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. And so it causes me to go into shock, and it's excruciatingly painful. And I have my limitations on the duration and length of pain that I can handle. So it was a couple of weeks ago, I asked him what he was doing there, and he said that I needed to stay in my room. And I asked why, and he said that essentially they wanted to keep an eye on me for a while. And I was like, okay, for how long? And he was like, well, we haven't decided that yet. And I was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. But it definitely felt like if I talk about what's happening to me, that I'm being retaliated against. And I know the logical mind is like, well, everyone can't be involved. But it seems that, I don't know, if the government has the right to watch and the proper paperwork, just walk right in and take over a hospital. And it seems that that is a very real reality in a lot of capacities of the things that I've faced. Just kind of just feeling some pretty general fear about my own safety, because the government's burning the private parts of my body. Sometimes it feels
like saying off on the people you are doing people like that. Mental health, but it's not you, and you know that it's not you. It's just hard to prove. But don't go get mental health help. Don't see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Most of the time they're involved too. Your police are involved, your firemen, ambulance, people at hospitals, they're all involved. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society that gets a kick out of doing people like that. But it is what it is. The only thing you can do is stay strong and focus on the people you love. I was lucky enough to have my mother, who was going through the same thing that I was going through. They started saying all kind of crazy stuff to her at her jobs, and
I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking.
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture.
At high levels.
The child porn.
Have died already. Many people's lives at risk. They affect men, women, and children. Many have died already.
The Pentagon, the child porn on the Pentagon servers.
Come on,
bro. Supposedly they found more child porn on the Pentagon servers than they found on any servers. You know,
could there be
at high levels across a range of government agencies? Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also work.
2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover employee viewing of such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you know, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
the CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children, and they're not being prosecuted? Where are you?
Discuss this. Searches are accessible by security.
Because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, the notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on. Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work. Is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their, their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use the technology within that office space however you want, and you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially this bill is trying to
is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018.
From another physician in Kansas City, alluding to the same thing.